computer. Okay, so welcome to the second Yes Academy session. Today we're going to see business result presentation. So this is the 5-slider. This is the 5 slides that the CEO wants to see for each business review, right? Okay, so thank you for putting on your cameras and putting mute on, mute off. I will ask you to read a lot and probably repeat a lot of things if necessary. Raise your hand if you have any questions at any time. And also pull pen and paper if you need to start writing and collecting the words in purple. The words in purple are the new words, are the vocabulary, but also in this time, the words in red are for grammar. So I'm going to put a little bit of grammar because it's necessary for this part. Remember to, when you speak, do your best effort, just speak with what you have. My job is to help you improve, maximize your speaking. And if you like this course, is still the room's still open, please invite a friend if you think it could be something good for somebody else. I'm just going to read this one because we have a long presentation. This is a difficult course. So for starters, business result presentation, what it is. The purpose of this presentation is to show how the business is doing using numbers, graphs, and KPIs. Of course, there are more elements, but basically, this is the shortest answer for this purpose. Usually, the quarter review, new word, for some of you, maybe for you is already known word, but I figured for some people, quarter review as a presentation is not so, is a new word. So usually in this quarter review of the business led by the CEO to the shareholders to discuss the performance of the company. It often takes 20 minutes. Okay, so when the CEO meets the shareholders for a 30 minutes 5-slider, this is what he's going to talk about, right? So the first is title and agenda. The second one is the dashboard. Yeah, Brandon, go ahead.
Yes, a little question. What is the difference between shareholder and stakeholder?
Okay, shareholder is the one that has capital invested, like money or property assets invested in your company. That is shareholder. Stakeholder is somebody that has an interest in your operation. I'm going to give you an example of stakeholder. If you are my supplier, I'm your stakeholder. If you give me material to do my presentations, and if you give me, for example, what's it called? Information or software, for example. Yeah, go ahead, Martin.
So the role of a shareholder is similar like a sponsor?
More or less, like the shareholder are nervous that they want to have their money back with interest. So they invest $100 in your company, and your company has the goal to return 9% a year. So they expect 109 at the end of the year. But each quarter, they're going to sit with the CEO to see how the company is performing, to see how the company is pushing towards getting that 9%. So the CEOs, hey, thank you for your money. I'm running my business, and these are the results up to now. This is how the company is going. By the end of the year, I should be able to give you back your $100 plus a 9% interest for investing in this company. So that's the shareholder concern. So in that note, that is a very good question. Martin, because in that note, the whole point of this presentation is to explain the shareholders how the company is performing and how are you guaranteeing the return of investing, but also is not only about investing, but it's also show how you grew the business, how you scale the business up. So in a year, thank you for your money. With this money, we're going to open more locations, and with more locations, more growth. And with more growth, not only are you getting back your 9%, but you also are part of a larger company than at the beginning. So that is an important note. Sorry, I went out in a monologue. Is everybody okay with what I said? Okay, perfect. Awesome. So title and agenda, that is, I'm not going to explain that. I'm just going to show what's a good title and agenda. But dashboard, Brandon, what do you understand for dashboard? Anything?
A, a lot of metrics, numbers, graphics, and all of them relationship with the key numbers of the agenda or the objective of the meeting.
Yeah. And then after dashboard, I put strategic goals. This is a reminder. Your shareholders already know your strategic goals, but here you're going to explain if there's an update in your strategic goals. Martin, do you think there's a relationship between dashboard and strategic goals? Is there something in common?
Yes, I think in the dashboard shows for these roles, for the shareholders, the principal financial KPIs, for example, I think.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's like your strategic goals should rely on an outcome, should rely on, my strategic goal is to grow 30%. So in the dashboard, that 30% should appear somewhere, should be in the dashboard. So yes, the numbers of the strategic goals are emptied in the dashboard. Everything is tied up, right? And also progress of initiatives is like, okay, this is our goals, grow 30%, and the initiative is how are you going to do it? But you already are familiar with that type of reasoning. That means that for a strategic goal, a progress of initiative is how are you doing with the new locations? Are they open? Are there employees in there? Are you hiring people? What is the progress? Okay, so 60% of this initiative to cover this big goal. So as you all, I'm going to just quickly pass this one through because you already are, based on what I understand of your jobs, you're already very familiar with this type of reasoning, of putting progress on initiatives after strategic goals. And Brandon, what are key takeaways in your opinion?
I think that they are like the conclusions of the meeting, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Takeaways comes from when you're in a restaurant and if you want your food in a small box, that is a takeaway. That's where it comes from. So the analogy is that you go to a Chinese restaurant, you taste the buffet, the whole chicken and everything, and you want a little piece of everything in a small box, and that's the Chinese takeaway. So that is the takeaways are what are you going to give in a small box to each of the shareholders, right? So this is very good. Okay. I'm going to, and this is a 5-slider because it is only 5 slides. And this is a recipe to have a 30-minute quarter review really fast with your shareholders. So my suggestion is that we are in this course, we are inviting people to see the value on quick reviews, on quick meetings, right? And yes, for the most part, everything that we talked about before, it's already here. I'm just going to check that title is showing time frame. Time frame, it means that what time period are your results? Are full year, 1 month, 1 quarter, you know? That is the time frame. Business segment, that is important. Sometimes if you want to talk about whole company, but if your company is really big, you might as well chunk it into pieces like, oh, this is the national business, this is the international business. So segments of business and order of the day. Order of the day is the same as saying agenda. Okay. Any questions on the words order of the day and time frame? These new words. Okay. After this, I'm going to show what's it called? I'm going to put a slide with the purple words so we could remember what it means and do a nice little exercise at the end. All right, so dashboards, exactly what we talked about, stats, totals, KPIs, critical for business operation, right? Strategic goals are actions and objectives for desired outcomes. This will improve KPIs if executed correctly. Okay. Yeah. Progress, completion status, and percentages, issues, solutions to release revenue. And yes, takeaways are summary of actions, agreements of the meeting, right? So yeah, these are what each slide is about roughly. So we could start chunking those. So take a picture if you want of this slide because there's going to be a nice exercise in the next one. Quarter review, shareholders, just write down the ones that you don't know. Assemble, slide pack, dashboard, key takeaways, time frame, business segments, and order of the day. All right, so now it's your turn, guys, to help me out with this little exercise. Brandon, could you please give us a read for the first one?
Yes, of course. Number one, say that business meeting held every 3 months.
Mhm.
Business meeting held every 3 months.
What is the
Time
best
frame?
one? Not quite. Every 3 months means that
Yeah, quarter review.
Quarter review, exactly. So that's correct. Quarter means that you're going to have 4 off in a year. That means that when you have 4 off in a year, that is every 3 months because 3 by 4 is 12. All right, perfect. Martin, could you give us a read for the second one? Remember to say blank.
Business segments.
Mhm.
Business segments are all the channels where products are offered.
Yeah, perfect. Exactly. So if you have different products that are very different, you should do a quarter review separate if it helps you. But to be practical, if you're not like a big company, keep it in the 5 slider, everything. But sure, mention the business segments in a different slides. Brandon, give us a read for the third one.
Yes, we shouldn't discuss management issues. They are not in the order of the day.
Perfect. Yeah. Does that ring home? Ring home means that sounds familiar. Do not discuss this topic because it's not part of the meeting, right? All right, Martin, you're up for number 4.
Okay, the total sales for this period should appear in the dashboard.
Yes, perfect. And Brandon, you're number 5 for finishing this up.
Okay, this meeting will provide blank with the information necessary to take decision. Shareholders.
Yes,
This means
perfect. Exactly. So shareholders also, if necessary, they have to put more money in to help the business grow, and it's like inviting them to invest more sometimes. So that helps a lot. All right, this is a quick one. Let's just go into detail of title and agenda. So in the title, you'll read the company, what's your company, results, Q1. Q1 is short for quarter one. That means that these results are from January to March only, 2024. That is the titles usually go. So the order of the day is business dashboards, but when you put the dashboard, you as a speaker have to create something that are called highlights. Highlights are the comments or the important things about the dashboard, all right? They're like the mini takeaways. Strategic goals, outcomes and actions. This is just remember to use this one. But here in progress of initiatives, you should remember to put how much are you progressing towards finish one initiative, like completion. So issues and solutions. So what issue came up and what solution came already. Remember that this is for the stakeholders. So we always have to provide what solutions were given. We have to close this one up. And at the end, key takeaways. All right. So from now on, we're going to do more exercises for the next items in the 5-slider. Does anybody have any questions for the title and agenda as it concerns? No? Perfect.
I understand it's like the storytelling for the dashboard.
Yes. Actually, when you are in a 30-minute agenda, when you're in a 30-minute meeting, the highlights have to be like really short things that hints about the dashboard. Oh, look, this is going really up. Oh, here we are growing. Or here, like the highlights should be like the things important about the graphs, because if you just put the graphs, the people are not going to be guided or what to focus on or what you were trying to say. But yes, it's true that you have to tell a story about each graph. You cannot show the stakeholders here. This is the line graph or this is the bar graph. Interpret whatever you want yourselves. Okay. Martin, give us a read for this slide. What does it say?
I see a lot of information, tendencies, different type of graphs.
Yeah.
I don't know for example, yes.
But
graph.
give us a read. Give us a read of what it says, like the dashboard integral.
Okay, dashboard integral summary of most important indicators and results.
Okay,
Highlights.
Perfect. Go ahead. You're muted. Yeah.
Continue. Okay. Highlights relevant observation of that helps connect the results presented with the business goal. That is a
good point. Okay, remember when you say summary with a no, summary with a no.
Okay. Summary. Okay.
Yeah, perfect. Highlights relevant observation of that helps connect the results presented with the business goals, right? That means that you show a graph, and that graph you will have to connect it with the business goal. That is a highlight. Where I'm going to show you in this meeting how to create highlights from any graph, okay? This is my challenge, that you could learn how to create any type of highlight. And you know what? The secret is that highlights are really easy to create once you understand how to use some words, all right? Yeah, the presenter will highlight the dashboard. Highlight is used as a verb, so you could use highlight as a verb also. Highlight this dashboard, or highlight this graph, or highlight whatever, this gouge, right? We're going to see this dashboard later on, and we're going to make highlight of each of the graphs really quickly and in a very empirical way. Okay, but first, before talking about dashboards, let's go ahead and try to explain graphs in English. So this lesson is going to be about grammar and how to read graphs in English, right? As you all know, there's many types of graphs. These are all the graphs that Google gave me, but we are going to only see 3 of them because, believe it or not, many of these are derived or are part of these 3 of above. So the most important are these 3, the most common and the most frequent. Okay, how's everybody doing up to now? Any questions? Everybody okay? Perfect. Let me see just time. Okay, we're actually in a good pace. 30 minutes only, and we're pretty much off. But okay. Bar charts are used for comparison. So basically, this graph is to compare, the job of this graph is to compare one series to another, or one series compared with itself in another time. For example, this one, series 116, is a later version of this series 18. So we compare these two. We make a highlight about the comparison, right? That is what we're going to do. But the purpose of the bar charts should be to compare data groups within each other. I'm going to show you how. For this part, I'm going to remind you about some grammar, the comparatives and superlatives. The comparatives are the use of ER, finishing ER, and the word than, bigger than, or superlatives is the biggest. But I see nobody has any issues with that as of yet. All right, let's do a warm-up exercise. Brandon, give us one highlight or try to make a comparison between with the data you see. The tips are you use highs and lows are the easy part, and if you could mention the point difference, it'll be okay. But what could you tell us about wholesale June against May or June or whatever?
Just to understand the these are millions or dollars, they are millions of users.
Just exactly. That is a good question. If you don't have a size, if you don't have scale, that is called scale, escala. So if you don't have the scale, just say points, because it's in relationship. If you are lacking a scale, if you don't have the scale in thousands of millions or whatever, in this case we have the scales that is millions. So yes, this is 14 millions or 0. But if millions are missing, it's okay to see, if it's okay to say how much points different.
Okay, so highlight. I see a huge difference between wholesale and between the months in May and June.
Okay.
May 6 millions, and that increase in June to 14 millions. So
okay.
I see an increase in the sales, I guess. Yes, it is one highlight. Another one is that in retail, we have the same amount of sales, 8 millions in May and the same amount in June.
Mhm.
So that is, I can say.
Okay, perfect. So basically, you said very good. You said basically all what is needed to be said. That there's that May is only 6 million wholesale, but in June it went up to 14 million. So you said, oh, May is 6 million and June is 14 million. But then you have to make a relationship between these two. To make a highlight, I recommend to say, oh, the business went up or grew. I'm going to put those words in another slide. And there's a slide coming that has all the words. But, and very easy, if I just have to say one sentence for your same example, I could choose to say, wholesale grew 8 million last month, or from May to June, all right? While retail remained the same. But very good. Remain the same at 8 million. In, you have to say how much. Very good. Martin, could you make a comparison between retail and wholesale in June? What could you say about retail and wholesale?
Yes, I can see the difference in these segments have increase in the period of May has a difference of 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
Retail has the principal domain in the segment, in
Yeah.
all the segment.
Oh,
And in the period of June has a gap. The principal segment, the wholesale, has a gap for 8 points.
Oh, okay, very good. What Martin did was he did a hierarchy comparison. So he said retail was the main products in May, and the leader became wholesale. So the leader was before retail, and now it's wholesale, right? Okay. What another? This is another thing you could do if you have time. You could say wholesale represents almost 60% of the result in June, you know, something like that. But let's see what are the tips. Martin, could you give us a read for number 1 up to number 3?
Retail in May is higher than wholesale in June by 2 million.
Exactly. Okay.
Wholesale in May is lower than wholesale in June by 8 million.
Okay. And the third one?
Okay, retail in May remained steady in June at 8 million.
Okay, perfect. Remember, wholesale with almost like an H, wholesale. And also try to say steady with a steady, right? And you'll be golden. That is great job. All right. Notice the use of the word by and at. June by 2 million. Higher than wholesale in June by 2 million. Por. All right. And remain steady at means that they are in 8 million. All right. Okay, so no problem, no issue using higher than, lower than, and by. So the words in red are the grammar of this bit. So once you get used to saying by, your sentence will become more efficient, more lean in the way. Okay, so, but what is it telling us? Retail in May is higher than wholesale in June. Retail in May, wholesale in June. Wholesale in June. Retail in May, wholesale in June by 2 million. Wait a minute, doesn't seem right. Retail in May.
No, that's a mistake. Yes.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
Yes.
What's the sentence? Retail in May is higher than wholesale in May.
Wholesale in May, yeah. Than wholesale. Wow.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
good catch. Thank you, Brandon. You saved the day by this one. Okay, so retail in May. Once you say May, you don't have to say May again. So you could say retail in May is higher than wholesale by 2 million. Yeah. Once you start comparing, yep.
We can say like retail in May is highest, or retailing in May is the highest.
Retail in May is the highest.
Yes.
I will reserve the term highest for June wholesale.
Okay.
But the only thing I could, with my eyes, tell is that retail remained steady at 8 million. That is like, yeah, what it comes to mind. Or you could say it has been consistent, or it has been stable. Stable, consistent. Those are words that could be more also fitted. But I want to say that you wanted to say that 8 million is actually high in context. Yeah, you could say it has been fairly high the last two months. So it has been or has been remained strong in 8 million or something like that, if you want to say that. But yeah, okay, since I found a mistake, I'm going to check number 2 if there's any mistakes in number 2, okay? Let me give it a try. Wholesale in May is lower than a wholesale in June by 8 million. That's correct. Yeah. All right. Retail in May remains steady, yep. Brandon, could you give us a read for number 4 and 5 to see what we're...
Yes. Yes, of course. Wholesale in May is the lowest of May and June with 6 millions. Wholesale in May. Yeah, of course. And wholesale in June is the highest of May and June by a difference of 6 millions.
Okay. So wholesale in June is the highest. Oh, yeah. So we are comparing only wholesale, right? The only word there is wholesale. And what we're doing is we're choosing the bluer, the more dark tone of blue to say a story. So May is the lowest between May and June wholesale. Right, that's correct. And also wholesale in June is the highest between the two. So I'm doing the opposite only, right? This is important. These are not highlights, okay? This is just graph analysis. This is called analysis. These are not the highlight. When we're going to do the highlight, we're going to choose one of these to maybe make it a highlight, right? Maybe. We're going to see how things. Okay, so I choose this graph. It's a screenshot of a YouTube video, but I thought it was really interesting because it had something to do with talking about round numbers. I'm gonna give you an example. McDonald's in 1987 is 7,000 868. Isn't that a lot of words? Instead, I propose to say McDonald's, instead of saying 7,868, I will just say nearly 8,000, and that's better. All right, that's less words for one idea. Because if you read out in the presentation 6,411, the focus of the group is just going to be like crazy. Here are some tips on how to correctly round numbers. So let's just do an exercise. Okay, Martin, what could you tell me about Kentucky Fried Chicken against Pizza Hut? Anything you would like to put note, and if you're facing the numbers, you could use these tips.
Okay, in the graphic I see in the KFC is more than 6,000.
Okay. More than 6. Okay.
In Pizza Hut is 5.2K.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For example, in Dunkin's is almost 500.
Okay. Perfect. Now, Martin, this is part of the speaking coaching.
Okay.
Try to repeat the same slide, but remember, before you start in a graph, mention the time frame. What year is it? And these are not put in the graph, but it's revenue. So the amount of money they did in that year is the revenue. Sorry, revenue. So try the same thing you said exactly, but at the start, tell us about the year, and these numbers are the revenue. But could you go again of what you said about Pizza Hut and the other one?
Okay. If we see the graphic at the period of 1987, we can see a revenue of 5.2K.
Great for Pizza Hut. Okay.
Pizza Hut, yes.
Also, now that you're at it, now that you're good with it, what place is Pizza Hut from the table? Is it number 3, third place? Mention that is also important. Okay.
Okay. If we compare it with other companies, we figure it in the 3rd place.
Perfect. All right, 3rd place. Brandon, what could you tell me about Wendy's?
About Wendy's. Okay, Wendy's we are going to see the revenue of some companies in 1987. So in that year, Wendy's is in the 6th place of revenue against another companies. We see a difference of 5,000 millions of revenue between the 1st place and the 6th place. In the 1st place, McDonald's is the highest company with revenue in that year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can say that about Wendy's.
Okay, perfect. Just 2 tips. If you start making differences and comparing cross lines, the audience would have to check what you said. It's like, oh, is it really? Oh, how much differences? But if you wanted to just put it out there and be clear, remember to say the total about Wendy's. So around 3,000 or 3,159, and help the audience to locate Wendy's. So Wendy's is just below Domino's Pizza and just below Burger King, basically. Huh? So great job in the time frame. Great job on explaining the revenues and warming up the speech. But you don't. It's not very common to make a lot of subtractions analysis, like, oh, it's around half of what McDonald's is like. Those complex things come later for bigger analysis. But in this short meeting, it's okay to say, Wendy's, how much? Where is it? Oh, it's just below this. Sixth place is really good. Actually, one of the most important highlights or potential highlights is the place of Wendy's, is place number 6. That is really relevant for Wendy's. So great job. These are some tips that could help you deal with numbers. So numbers are difficult to say. And not only are they difficult to say, but they're not as relevant if you say 7,868. You could say nearly 8,000. That means that there's a fair short amount of difference. But there's a difference between nearly and almost. Almost means that there's an inch. Small, very small is almost. And nearly is like, okay, it's closing in, but there's still some room. Around means that when there's like a fair amount of difference up or below, you could say around. And for example, if you don't want to say 5.2, you could say little over or little below. Little means a small part. Okay, guys, how you guys doing right now? For this part, I really will invite you to take a break for 10 minutes because it's going to get really new words and a lot of, we're going to do this times 10. So take a break and I'm going to make you really, really good at reading graphs from now on, right? So let's take a break and I'll see you guys in 30 minutes. All right? I'm going to write you when I'm back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.